What's up, everyone? How are you doing? StacksAMilli. I'm here with another live. This one is going to be justice for StacksAMilli. I'm going to touch on Phil Thompson again, and the rest of the individuals on what happened to me in TEESWATER, where I was robbed, almost murdered. I had to defend my life. I was falsely incarcerated, and then I was abused while I was incarcerated. I was abused by the same individuals. And it's time for those individuals to pay for what they've done. These individuals deserve time in the federal penitentiary. These people deserve even death sentences. Basically, I've been doing YouTube for a while now. I've been a cost per action marketer for a while, maybe since 2012, so about close to 8 or 9 years. I'm also a teacher. I teach people online courses. I've been taking a break right now, but that's what I pretty much do for a living. And I ended up going to the TEESWATER area. I was in Southampton. I had done some videos. It was a nice area. I had no problems over there. And I had no problems up to this point. I had pretty good landlords previous to that. I stayed at one place for 2 to 3 years in London, Ontario. It was in that pretty decent little house that I had, where I was able to set up. I was basically able to do my internet thing and basically able to make money legitimately with the internet, with my marketing, everything. Everything was fine. My landlord was pretty cool. I did have to occasionally deal with like the occasional street junkie or something like that. Damaging my property or something like that. But I never had any big issues. And then I came to TEESWATER. I had this idea. I had researched TEESWATER previous to even going there. And they had the TEESWATER Fair. They had a couple things that were on the internet and stuff that had appealed to me. And I was thinking, okay, it's kind of a smaller town. I'm going to do some videos. I'm going to do the TEESWATER Fair video and all that. I was previous already planned out in my mind. And I rented my apartment for like $850. This is Phil Thompson's apartment. And as soon as I got there, it was pretty much, I had noticed something was wrong. When I brought my first and last rent over to the house to give to his son, the way that the son had aggressively taken the first and the last rent, it felt like he had almost robbed me. I was giving my first and last rent. And when you give someone, he had me give it in money order. That's pretty much just like giving it in cash. He didn't want it on paper in his name or anything. It was really, at first, like when I went and got those money orders, that was a little bit scary for me because it's $2,000, around $2,000 in money orders. So he took the money orders like he was robbing me. He was being very aggressive from the get-go. That was Cameron Thompson, Phil Thompson's son. This is where I had first started. No, actually, even before that, when I had first emailed Phil Thompson on Kijiji about his apartment and interest, because I was just going through different apartments and all that on email. Just sending like emails, seeing if stuff was open. I just asked him if it was open. I had other places that were interested in having me rent, and he was so aggressive with his emailing. It really rose a red flag in my head immediately. I was like, whoa, this guy's, because I deal with emails all the time. Like, I'm in tech and stuff. So when the way this guy was emailing me, I knew right off the bat, whoa, this guy, so I'm scared of this guy because the way he was emailing me and he was so close in my area. That's when I first felt the power of this guy. When I had first emailed him. And even before that, I think he was definitely watching me, this individual. And then I felt like, okay, I'll move to TEESWATER. He was really aggressive, and I kind of like felt like, okay, I'm going to do it. I felt like pressured into it, like I had no choice, so I just did it. And it sounded like a good idea anyway. I had some good stuff behind me, like the TEESWATER Fair and all that. So I ended up moving to TEESWATER. I was there, and everything was good. And this is when all this bad stuff started happening. I started getting home invaded. There was like these weird things where Phil Thompson would like make up these random stories to kind of try to make me look like this bad individual. When this kind of stuff has never happened in my history. it was like there was a fire that was set, but I didn't set it, and then they had blamed me for setting it. And there's two separate fires. There's one that I watched this little kid in town that used to ride this little dirt bike around. He was the individual that had set this fire, and I watched him go. And there's just all these different events that happened. Where I was getting, I had caught the son, Phil Thompson's son, Cameron, the one that was super aggressive, taking the money orders. He would come into my apartment at like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. and all that, and basically home invade me without notice. He would just, I'd be sleeping, I'd catch him like hovering over me when I'm sleeping, and all this. And it was just showing all these telltale signs of these things called red rooms. If you ever do some research, Google a red room on like deep web, like a deep web stuff where they they get people to come into apartments. And these are actually, this goes to medieval times. Before red rooms, they were called just like trap houses and things like this. This is what I think he's built in TEESWATER. He has a big apartment complex that he just brings individuals, attracts individuals to rent, and then he takes their money first and last, and then he just kills them and steals their stuff. And I'm serious about this operation because I'm a survivor of it. Yeah, so these home invasions had started happening, and that's when I knew I needed to start recording something, because I knew something was either going to go to the courts, someone was going to get hurt, either me or him, because he assumed I was defenseless when I was well trained in self-defense. So I had started filming things, and this really saved me, because there ended up being a court case that I'm still having to battle with over this individual who should be in federal prison, not me. What's it called? Yeah, so the home invasions started happening, and I was recording to make sure that I could document these events. This is when I decided, I probably should move, but I didn't move yet. Everything was pretty smooth, but there was all these things behind the scenes that were happening. It was almost like Phil was trying to make false documentation.
You guys know staff rooms?
Yeah. And so I pretty much was still working and all that, and I had bought a truck. I had bought a Cadillac Escalade and all this, and I was cleaning it up. I had paid like $4,000 cash for it to another man in town. I had looked on this website called Kijiji. And it happened, there was this 1999 Cadillac Escalade, and it really touched me, because I really like Escalades, I really like Cadillacs, and it was just in my price range. It was $19.99, and it needed fixed up. So I went and I bought it, and I cleaned it up really nice, and this is when it really all took a turn. This is when Phil Thompson literally started physically threatening me in person. He would come to the apartments, call me out on the phone, and stuff like this, and then he was literally threatening my life if I didn't give him this Cadillac type of thing. He was trying to literally rob me for the Cadillac. This is around the time when there was this false fire set inside the apartment that there's an individual in town that's known to carry a blowtorch that had previously tried to torch me and my electric motorcycle, or my electric e-bike I had, or my e-bike or whatever. I had an e-bike, and there was an individual in town that had previously, these individuals are all together. It's a big mafia. I'm calling it the TEESWATER Mafia is what I'm calling it. So there was a controlled fire set from outside of the apartment. I remember, these guys are serious. They tried to plaster the wall to fix it and everything after they had blowtorched the wall from the outside to make it look like I had caused this fire. They tried to put a fake damage thing that's what their big thing is for the past couple of years. They've gotten paid back so much money from my family, my friends, me, my colleagues and stuff, that they're threatening and say that I owe all this money and stuff, when I don't. They made a controlled fire. They ended up making a controlled fire inside their own apartment, because these are red rooms, so they're just trying to put people in debt and then suck money out of them for the rest of their life. They're really smart on what they're doing. You got to really identify what they've been doing. So they made a controlled fire, and they made everyone believe that I had accidentally set this fire, that I owed all this money. So then they started threatening everyone's lives and stuff like that. So I got the TEESWATER Fair video. I went to the TEESWATER Fair. By this time, they had put stuff in my Cadillac gas tank. My Cadillac didn't even work at this point. because the son had also put sugar in my gas tank or something like that, and popped my tire. I had to go and get tire refill stuff. So they were just doing all this stuff to me, and I'm trying to do my legitimate videos, and that's where you can see, like, I have a Cadillac video still, and all these other videos that they've been trying to get taken. They've been trying to steal from me. I went to the TEESWATER Fair, and my electric motorcycle, motorcycle still had worked at that point. I had moved. I had given them 2 months notice, or a month's notice. I still had paid them the last month's rent, but I told Phil, I gotta go. I'm not living here anymore. You have my last month's rent. This is your notice. There's been too much stuff. Your son's been home invading me. I've had to call the police over it. I've had to document it on my phone. Now there's sugar in my gas tank. My Cadillac's tire was popped, and they've been threatening me. I had to go. So I found an apartment that was just down the street, which was my worst mistake. I should have just got as far as I could away from this individual. So I had hired a moving company, and we moved over to this other apartment that was just down the street from his apartments, which was a big mistake because this guy obviously has big power in this area. So I was living above this, it was actually an abandoned store at the time. They owned it, well, not abandoned because they still owned it and maintained it, but it wasn't being used as a store. I would say maybe vacant. It was a vacant store at the time. We had discussed that they wanted to start this pizza business and subs and all this, which was awesome. I love pizza and subs. It felt like we were doing it together. So I was paying them like $1,100 a month rent. I kind of had tried to forget about Phil Thompson. He was still threatening me in town. They were driving by my apartment, yelling stuff, threatening, aiming guns at me, and all this kind of stuff. One time when I was going down to the post office, what is it called? His sons tried to attack me again, but nothing really happened. I just retreated back to my apartment. No one actually anything physically happened that time. Except I felt very threatened. They were hovering over me and threatening me. I felt like I was going to be physically harmed that day. So I just retreated to my apartment that day. And it was all these things leading up to this. So then I'm staying in this apartment. I'm paying $1,100 a month rent. We get this pizza shop going. I was there the entire time when they were working on the pizza shop. But this is when it had started to gotten bad, because I think Phil Thompson had started to threaten my new landlords, and he had tried to entice them, saying that there was all this money involved with my murder or whatever. This is what they do for business. So maybe, even though what might not be that much money to me is huge money to them. So they might see my computer and this and that, my PlayStation 4, my electric bike, my Cadillac, and all this kind of stuff that I worked very hard for over the years. And to me, it's like, I deserve it because I worked hard for it. But to them, it's just like, oh, just cut his throat and take it type of thing. So that's what they try to do. Then they started trying to come at me inside the apartment multiple times, and I was defending myself. This is when I guess they had tried to work with the police to try to pay off the police to try to put me in for some false charges or something. One day I was inside the apartment. I ended up getting fed up with the landlords too, that were, like I said, they had started working with Phil Thompson as they were enticed by Phil Thompson. They had started to work. I think it was all just I think they do this to a lot of individuals. I'm not the only one. I think this is a big operation that they've done for many, many years. Like a Bruce MacArthur type operation, or even much larger. I think much larger than a Bruce MacArthur. I think this is the TEESWATER Mafia in Canada. Anyway, yeah, I was one of the intended victims. I guess this second apartment that I had moved down the street, I've concluded that this was also a red room set up by the Phil Thompson family, the Mafia family of the Thompsons, who work with Wayne Keller and work with Julie McMahon. So I was staying in their apartment above this pizza shop. They had finally got the pizza shop up. They were giving me some free pizzas. The first pizza was pretty good. And then this is when the pipe glue incident started happening. And I concluded that they were putting pipe glue inside my pizza. As they had started working with Phil Thompson, this is how they started to get me too. Because they couldn't get me physically because I was well trained in self-defense. So then they started to trick me and say, oh, here's your free pizza for being, you know, staying above in the apartment and paying your $1,100 a month rent, which the rent actually had helped pay to get this pizza shop going.
Kyle Battersby to see Lynda Stud. Kyle Battersby. Robert Murkoff to see Lynda Stud. Robert Murkoff.
And the water and this and that. What is it called? This is when the townspeople, they were asking, is the a man above the apartment, does he have anything to do with the pizza shop? And they basically didn't want to admit that I was part of the business. This is where they lost out big. I could have been developing the website for the business. We could have moved on to delivery. We could have even started to expand it into a chain. I thought they had known how big I was and how big of an influence I have on the internet, not just with StacksAMilli. That's just my personal name and brand. I also have worked with many companies, FileIce.net, ShareCash, CPA Lead. I've worked with Maybach Music Group, CTM Music Group, Breadwinners Association, all these different people I've worked with. Coca-Cola, all these different huge brands. If you look at my Instagram, so I'm a fairly large influence on the internet. I've had large websites on the internet. And I guess they didn't see that. They thought killing me or whatever, disposing of me, trying to get me to go to jail to steal my things was going to work. So this is when it got to the point where I think they had the pizza shop. Oh no, get back to the pipe glue. So they were giving me pizza, and basically I had noticed like something was wrong with my intestines after I had eaten the pizza. I couldn't go to the bathroom. And then this is when I heard Wayne Keller below me in the pizza shop laughing and saying, "'Cause there's motherfucking pipe glue in it," and stuff like that. So this had happened. I was trying to go to the bathroom. I couldn't go to the bathroom. It was very hard. I'm very lucky I had even survived or didn't have a prolapse or something like that. So
kitchen, line one.
I mean, that had happened when he started poisoning me in this apartment. So they're working with Phil Thompson at this point. I think they were always working with the Thompsons. So I had realized this stuff was happening, and and then the TEESWATER affair had happened around the same time. So I was trying to ignore that kind of stuff. I was still trying to get my business in, because at the end of the day, like, okay, they're trying to kill me, they're trying to do this to me, they're trying to do that to me, but I'm still alive. I'm gonna try to get this video done. So I shot the video, and I actually edited it. And this is like how much they wanted to like, just destroy me. I was like processing the video, and it was at like 99% the video. And it was such a great video. I was at the TEESWATER fair. I had my bike. There was people dancing and music, and it was just a great country vlog. It was so well edited. I'd spent all night editing it, and then this is when they cut the power off. So he knew I was editing the video, and he was so jealous that I was coming up in the world. I think his wife had started to dig me. I had the Cadillac. I was more successful than him. This guy's bald. He has no tattoos. He's very ugly. He cut the power off on the hydro, and I lost my footage. It corrupted my computer, and I lost the footage. This is when I was
Kyle McMahon to see Lynda Stud. Kyle McMahon.
I knew what they didn't know. I knew what they were doing. They
Christopher Mansourjohn to see Lynda Stud.
I kept trying
to
catch up with what they were doing. So I told them, you know what? Since you're trying to kill me, I knew they were trying to kill me. They were waiting on my next month's rent. That would have funded more poison, more bullets, more. It would have funded more ways to hit myself. So that's when I told them, I'm moving. Keep your last month's rent, because I had given them first and last. So they had my last month's rent. They had $1,100 last month. I had given them $2,200 first and last, and then I had given them another $1,100 and another $1,100 for the months that were there. And then I told them, it's the end of the November, whatever year it was, 2018 or 2017. I told them, this is the last month. Keep your $1,100 last month rent. I'm moving. Okay? This is around November 14th now. I still have about 16, 15 days to move. I don't have to move. Technically, I don't, because I had paid my last month's rent. This is when they set up an operation. I get a call from my landlord. This is what had made me go do some false incarceration time. So I'm getting a call from my landlord. I'm inside my office in the apartment, which I still legally have 16 more days to vacate. And he says, I need you to come down. I want to have a word with you, which, you know, I assume, yeah, it's going to be sort of a stubborn conversation, but it's going to be reasonable. Nobody's going to get hurt or nothing like that. I understand he's probably mad because I'm moving out and telling him that to keep his last month's rent, I want to move. So I went down, and this is when I was attacked by Phil Thompson, physically. So I walk down the stairs in the apartment. I go to speak to Wayne Keller, who's the landlord, that wants to speak with me. And Wayne starts to talk about how he wants some tools from above in the apartment. There's some tools above in the apartment that are his. I also had some tools up there, some more expensive tools. I had a very expensive Diablo power saw that was worth around $250 to $300. This was such a feat for me to get. I always wanted like such a great power saw, and that's when I had bought this Diablo power saw. And I knew Wayne probably wanted this Diablo power saw. Like I said, he was very envious of me, enough to work to kill me.
Michael P. Smith, your PSW is here. Michael P. Smith, your PSW is here.
I can get your tools. Just give me a few minutes, you know, or give me a little bit of time. You'll have your tools in a moment. But I had said it more friendlier. And next thing I know, this is when Phil Thompson had basically lunged out of his vehicle and began to, or he had pulled up, I assume, and he lunged out of his vehicle, coming around the back end of his truck, and he had proceeded to come towards me in a very threatening manner, almost like he was coming to harm somebody. So I began to make checks on his hands, in his waistband, and any direction that he could have had any other individuals setting up on me. That's when I seen that he was pulling his large, what I assume to be a 50 caliber revolver, maybe 45, or maybe even a 40. Once I seen the revolver, I knew that. Actually, he had started to choke me when he first came out of the car. When he was coming at me, very threatening. He actually had went, and he even gotten this close where his hands were actually around my throat.
Go to the front for Steve B. Go to the front for Steve B.
To death. That's when once I had seen the look in his eyes that he was intending to choke me to death, I blocked his arms and I moved around him. That's when he pulled the revolver. That's when I had pulled the mace, and I had maced him 2 times when I seen the revolver and he was trying to choke me and this and that and the other. So once I had maced him, there was another scuffle. Wayne was scuffling and all this. I had retreated back to the apartment. This is when I was in the apartment for some time. Then I went back on the apartment, what is it called? Balcony, and I had started to smoke a cigarette. This is when I was, what do you call it? Confronted by 2 police officers. I seen there was a cruiser on the left side, and this is when I was approached by the 2 police officers, who I've later learned were just great friends with Phil Thompson. This is when I was arrested. They arrested me. I went to jail. Shortly later, I had gotten bail. I had stayed in the jail for a little bit of time, which I didn't mind actually, because I worked so hard out in the real world, but like that, it was actually a pretty good rest. So I ended up getting bail, and I had started to work on fighting this case. I was charged with all these crimes, which were self-defense. Phil Thompson had attacked me with a large revolver. When I came down from the apartment, he had tried to physically choke me and kill me. There had been all this previous things that were going on, like I had said, home invasions and poisonings. There was multiple poisonings, even ones that I hadn't mentioned in this video. There were poisonings, multiple poisonings. When I was at the restaurant, they had tried poisoning me. There was a couple different poisonings. So they were trying to hit me for my motorcycle and my Escalade and this. They did end up getting me for all my stuff in the end. Because that day, when they had used the police to get me, I think it was all a setup. Basically, he came and he had tried to shoot me with his revolver in the middle of town. Physically attacked me, and he was uttering threats of, if you don't give me your truck and this and that, you're dead, and all that. While he was coming at me, that's when I maced him twice. I maced him real good. Got him right in his eyes. He was screaming, he was crying. He didn't expect me to mace him directly. He thought I would be shot and killed at that point. Like, he kept trying to shoot and kill me, but the trigger was so hard on the gun, he didn't know what he was doing. He was like,
lead forward to Nicole's office. Lead forward.
And you got hard triggers, and it was a very hard trigger. So I ended up macing him and retreating back to the apartment. He was maced, his eyes were done, so it wasn't like he was going to keep coming. But his son was coming, Cameron Thompson, that original one that tried just robbing me for the money orders. But I basically, like I said, I was in the apartment. I basically said, these individuals are going to kill me. These guys are serious. He just tried to shoot me in the middle of the town with a 45 caliber Magnum handgun. Or I don't even think it was a Magnum, but whatever. He just tried to shoot me with this big-ass gun. I had to mace him. Something's going on. This guy must want my Cadillac. This guy is so serious. You know, like, to me, it was always about getting a legitimate job, doing something for the world, you know, trying to make an impact, you know. It's about positive history and all that kind of stuff, or at least making it some sort of change positively, like, or make an influence positively, like hard work, you know. You don't just kill someone or harm someone or rob someone or something like that for money, you know. So basically I went to jail, like I said, and at that point it was a pretty rough time in jail. Phil Thompson was trying to put hits on me in the jail too. He was just trying to wipe me right out. At this point, when I went to jail, I didn't understand that, oh, the police officers in on this operation, they were all stealing all my stuff that I had worked hard for, my big empire. So this small town police officer who only makes $25,000 a year, I had let him incarcerate me, which I shouldn't have, because I had trusted them. I trusted the legal system. I trusted the police. I trusted the OPP and the Ontario Provincial Police and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I had trusted these people, that they would know right from wrong. That's when I was taken into custody. I did about a month's jail time. They're trying to hit me in the jail and all that. They couldn't really get me. Actually, they did get me. They got my tooth right here, where it got chipped, so I eventually want to get it fixed. But yeah, they got me, and I still am unanswered about that. The person didn't get charged. Nothing happened to them. I want to sue the jail eventually. I do want to sue the jail eventually, because what they were doing to me inside the jail, they had physically broken my tooth like that, and I also got stabbed in jail, where I got stabbed in my face. So I definitely want answers on that, most definitely from the Central North Correctional Center in Penetanguishene, Ontario. If I do not receive a monetary amount for my damages or some sort of sorry or something, I'm going to be definitely coming for legal action against these people that have done this to me, because the person wasn't charged. Nothing happened to this person, and I had insisted on this person getting charged, and the correctional officers basically worked against me, and even the police in Midland had worked against me, and we definitely need to do something about that. So I ended up getting bail. I fought this thing in court. I was facing 4 years in prison over what was self-defense, what was an operation by the TEESWATER Mafia to basically kill me and steal my stuff that I had worked very hard for. Basically, if you can go reference back to the Canadian Mafia video in my replays. Basically, I fought in court. Like I said in the previously in this video, I had video evidence that I was collecting. Remember when I said that they were home invading me and all this? I was recording recording them on my camera. So I was able to provide the courts with all this evidence suggesting that these people were literally trying to kill me for my stuff, that this was all self-defense. I ended up beating the case. They dropped multiple charges. They would have dropped the whole case completely. I was very limited on resources. They had denied me legal aid funding, so I had to literally pay my lawyer completely out of pocket. I paid him around $3,000, $2,000 cash, retainer, and he hardly did anything. I did the whole case. He didn't do anything. I wrote my own deposition. I did everything. Every aspect of the case I provided. I provided him with the video evidence. He didn't do nothing in court. I had to speak in court. He really wanted to do me in court. I think Phil Thompson had tried to pay him off to be a bad lawyer. I wasn't letting it happen. In court, that's when I had to begin to represent myself because he was such a bad lawyer. So I basically paid him $2,000 to just basically sit there and be a bad lawyer. Anyway, that's when I beat the case. I only had to, I think they offered me like 6 months in total to go do. At that point, I had already paid so many thousands of dollars. I had lost so many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of assets when they had robbed me there in TEESWATER. So I said, you know what? Okay, I'll go do your 6 months jail time. I wanted the experience anyway. I was a young male. I wanted to go experience the jail, and I even wanted to correct myself. I felt like, yeah, I'm very a smart individual, and I have a great career and all this, but I do want to experience jail. I played like Gary's Mod. I played all these different games online. I always wanted to like be in the jail. You know what I mean? Like I played that one game, fucking what is it called? I don't know. There's just this one game, you're like a brick person and you like play, you're in like this jail and shit. So like, I always wanted to like kind of experience it and see how it was, but it was the worst experience ever. Trust me, you don't ever want to experience it. It's not that good, especially because you can really lose your life in there, and they're really serious in there. It was just, for me, it was just a jail walkthrough, but some of these other guys, it's like, they're very serious about what they're doing in there. And what is it called? So anyway, I beat the case, and this is where I remain today. So here I am. I'm trying to get back at these people. Phil Thompson of TEESWATER, Ontario, Cameron Thompson of TEESWATER, Ontario, and the Central North Correctional Center and their staff, and what's been done to me by these individuals. Same with my probation officer, Judith Esposito. It's like Phil Thompson gets in contact with all these individuals, and he gets into their brain. He starts offering large amounts of money to harm me, and basically, yeah, I've been dealing with this mafia for quite some time. I think I'm going to prevail. I think I eventually will prevail. I think that the Canadian government, the U.S. government, who I'm in who have a great relationship with, will eventually take care of these individuals. That's what I've been trying to do with these videos. I have to document everything. I have to make sure everything is put out there. How are they supposed to know the story if no one tells it? So basically that's what I'm dealing with. They're basically running around with all my stuff. I've been released from incarceration. Like I said, I beat the court case pretty much. And what happened to all my stuff? What happened to my electric motorcycle? What happened to my Escalade? What happened to my computer, my PlayStation, all this kind of stuff? It just went missing. No, it hasn't. It got robbed from me from Phil Thompson and the TEESWATER Mafia, as well as my mother. My mother even lives in that area now, and I think they have a great influence on her. I don't even speak to her. Like I said, I've previously talked about my mother. She's a nurse that steals medication from her jobs. She's been fired from multiple nursing facilities. She got fired in Florida, where she was stealing tons of medication over the years, where she was eventually caught. She lost her nursing license down there in Florida, and she's also lost her nursing license multiple times in Ontario. So she was involved. She had stolen my TV, and she had stolen my computer with my brother. My brother's a well-known rapper, John Gotti. Whatever, man, whatever. They want to steal they just stole my shit. Anyway, now I'm here. I'm trying to make my money again. I'm trying to get these individuals in trouble for what they did. I don't want to get them killed. If you don't have to hellfire their house, you don't have to hellfire their mansion. But these individuals are so big that you would have to maybe hellfire their mansion. This is how big this mafia is. or even help fire the whole town of Teeswater. Because basically I'll explain an economic standpoint on Teeswater and how it's been with them. They're one of the poorest towns in all of Ontario. They used to be a very lively town. They used to have multiple restaurants, and the downtown core used to be very lively. They used to have a lot of different stores, open stores, and there used to be a very active community in Teeswater, and it's went up and down. But in the recent years, especially when I was there, it was at its worst of the worst. That's why I believe they ate me alive, and they're beginning to even come to the cities, and they eat the cities alive. That's why I'm calling them Teeswater Mafia, because they live in this town of Teeswater, and they're headed by Phil Thompson. I'm really hoping that we can find some resolve on this issue. It is 9:01 a.m. now. So basically, that's what I just wanted to tell you guys. I just wanted to go off on a rant and basically try to get this story into the universe, so people could start to understand what had happened with them. My websites are all still going. I'm still running my operations. Everything's great with me. I'm just really starting to just build again from this previous event. But there's definitely got to be something done about what happened, because it was totally illegal. And I want some reimbursement for everything that I lost. I literally lost $250,000 worth of stuff. So I really need my money back. I almost lost my life. And like I said, I lost even parts of me physically. And I really want the individuals to pay for what they've done. Just like I had to pay for what I did. I'm not saying macing Phil Thompson was the best choice, but it was the only choice that day, or I would have lost my life. And to me, my life is very important. As they say, your body's your temple. So I'm not sure. It's not my fault that you don't care for me specifically as much as I do, but that doesn't say that I don't have human rights just like you do. And I had dreams to be somebody just like you did. So when these people tried to murder me because I happened to be a harder worker than their son, that really hurt me, and that's not how the world should be. And that's basically all I want. I want justice for StacksAMilli, because I'm a very hardworking individual, and I feel like it's just been slipped. Everything I do, people have just tried to put a door in front of me that I had to be capable. I tried to do positive videos. I've tried to do awesome videos, and it wasn't because of me being a bad individual. It's just me being such a good individual that got people jealous to come at me. I don't know, man. Anyway, that's what had happened with that situation. We can talk about something different. I'm going to cut this video off now, because this video specifically was to talk about that situation that had happened. And there's a lot more. We could go into detail, but it would take a long time to go into detail. But I got the whole story in detail. Great adjectives, the way I tell the story and all that stuff. But the way I tell it is 100% factual. It's 100% the truth. And I've done a lot of investigation. I've done a lot of research to know what I'm speaking about. And I guarantee if you hear the other individuals talk, the truth will come to light. And under the law, which we're supposed to be following,
Michael P. Smith to the shower room.